As you can see in part 8 of this movie book, Yahweh the Father principle, as the first person of the Elhead or Godhead, created a passiveness for himself, which is spiritual darkness, obscurity, as a ground of creation, which Genesis 1:2 is the dusty, watery ground, the light being the first thing created. Colossians 1:15, John 1 through 5, Genesis 1:3. Yahweh went through what can be likened as birth pains for the birth of the light, to bring the light out of himself. He took enormous strength for Yahweh to bring out of himself the manifested life that was in himself. This could be likened to a bodybuilder lifting with a great burst of meat or strain to present the weight. One could easily see this process in nature in women, the passive principle, by first how Yahweh created a dark, watery ground for Adam when he brought out of Adam the woman Eve, a passiveness relative to Adam for a ground to procreate and to establish Adam's creative power, Genesis 1:28. Second, Eve or woman can now only follow the same process of the Creator from the natural punishment she brought unto herself, Genesis 3:16. When bringing the light of a baby into manifestation, Eve being in that same image and likeness of Yahweh, Genesis 1:27, which this can be verified in Romans 1:20. The light or the baby is conceived in the darkness of only the woman's belly, just as the Father principle, shining in the darkness, yet the darkness comprehending it not, John 1:5. You can see this in ultrasounds. This is very hard for anyone to deny without first going into the same insanity that Satan created, Ezekiel 28:15, which in this case, this knowledge is not for you. Yahweh in an inscrutableness is not Father, nor does he have a name, for the deity have not yet in that state taken the title of Creator or Father, which is the first cause. Yahweh in this state of inscrutableness has not manifested anything. All things in this state of inscrutableness of Yahweh is in the still rest, in the unhut forth, and have not decided to manifest or create, thus cannot be looked at as a Father with a name. In part 8 of this movie book, one could see clearly that Yahweh went through a suffering of harshness, bitterness, and an anguishing to manifest his love, happiness, joy, and light into the working reality, which became well-pleasing to Yahweh, Matthew 3:17, which, by the way, these spirits are the very nature of raw power without a filter. All raw power have these wrathful spirits and cannot even exist without such spiritual forms as these. Revelation 14:10. We will advise one to first read this in the King James Version or Greek. You can see this is true in weak, low-level, raw power compared to Yahweh's power in things such as tornadoes, hurricanes, volcanoes, electricity, tsunamis, fires, earthquakes, and uncontrolled nuclear power. Can one deny these first three spirits of harshness, bitterness, and anguishing in these raw powers? If so, please shut this movie book off, for you have incorporated a satanic cancellation of spiritual understanding. 1 John 5:16. Just like a woman does in the process of bringing the fruits of her love and light into the reality of the world, going through extreme harshness, bitterness, and anguishing, then after being delivered from such agony, the baby becomes well-pleasing to her. Only through the suffering that resonates from these first four spirits that are in the darkness of obscurity can the love shine forth or be manifested. Matthew 16:24-26, Luke 9:23, Romans 5:3-4, James 1:2-5, 1 Peter chapter 1, 6-7, 1 Peter 3, verse 14, 1 Peter 4, verse 1, and super etc. Yahshua was an example to us, to show us, to teach us, and to give us the power to perform holiness where the law was found weak due to the flesh. Romans 8:3-4, which is Satan's bride. Romans 7:18. King James Version, Ephesians 2:2-3. We can only show Yahweh we love him by the demonstration of the shining of love. Matthew 5:14-16, by suffering in the flesh, 1 Peter 4:1. The suffering being that sacrifice of that carnal earthly pleasure, the lust of the flesh, and that which is pleasant to the eyes, the lust of the eyes, and that earthly erudition, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that make one wise, the pride of life. When one does not the things that truly bring pleasure and comfort to the body, the things which are extremely evil and of great wickedness that breaks the image and holy law of Yahweh, then a spiritual fire, Matthew 3:11, will descend from the heavens, Leviticus 9:24, and will generate in your being a transforming power, 1 Peter 1:7, Zechariah 13:8-9, that if one sits in this fire, Daniel 3:19-25, Psalm 12:6, it will refine, purify, and burn off that inherent evil that one has let inside of oneself during the course, whatever years you spent on earth of this life, Matthew 5:20. Process of holiness has then begun, John 3:3, Romans 12:2. You must, it is imperative that one be renewed in the spirit of your mind, Ephesians 4:23. This fleshly world, or what we see as a shadow world, came into manifestation by the natural law of carnality. Once the human mind fell from the heavenly conscious worlds into the animal nature, an outward shadow world was immediately generated to correspond to the human mind or soul, which is the now new carnal thinking. The book of Adam and Eve, all of it. Flesh and blood, concrete images and forms because of the fall, Genesis 3:9, had to become part of the human experience. Outward life can only come through the thinking of the creature who has the power of creation. Mankind is endowed with the power of creation as co-creator with Yahweh. You can see this on a low-level understanding as man creates here on earth with the help of Romans 1:20. See Genesis 2:15 and also see Matthew 18:18 and Matthew 16:19. This shadow world is not real in the sense of true reality, that spiritual existing world created by Yahweh, yet it is only a cover or false matrix to the one true reality. This mundane world is only a projection from that which is more inward, which is more upward to appear as real. You can see this physical world best from this analogy. Behold, a movie projector shines the light to the slides, and the slide is the true image that is real. And from the light shining on the slide, a false image or shadow image now appears on the screen. This pseudo image that is on the screen is not the real or substantial image, but it only mirrors the real image, which is the slide. The projector is the light world, or the kingdom of the heavens. The slides or images is the ether, the quintessence. And the pseudo image on the screen is the physical universe where the physical earth subsists. This upper world, or the heavenly states of consciousness, which are right now contaminated by war, will be burned away, and the new heavens and the new earth that is devoid of conflict will be established forever. 2 Peter 3:12 through 13, Isaiah 65:17. This kingdom of the heavens we live in now, the very consciousness we live right now in the spirit, where we have all these conflicts and troubles, will be burned away. These states of consciousness, with the now new carnal mind, which establishes the discombobulating events, both mental and physical, that are contrary to Yahweh's image, are at war with each other. Romans 8:7. Mankind has a choice to choose which side to join for their everlasting habitation. Exodus 32:26, Malachi 3:18, Deuteronomy 30:19, Joshua 24:15. Lo, before we venture to Yahweh as the second person of the Godhead, as Yahshua the Messiah, Word or Son, John 14:9, who is the light himself, John 8:12, 1 John 1:7, we feel first that very important notions should be spoken about to shed light on certain obscure sentiments. It is not as if the Father didn't see the forming of the physical world in his divine foreknowledge. However, it was prepared for in the freedom, the power of potentiality that was created for all Yahweh's creatures, to give them an individuality that stands separated from his personal being. The Father did this to have free self-conscious beings that are actualized in real creation to commune with. If the power of potentiality was not created, there would have been no freedom of choice. Freedom of choice can never come into existence without the potential to go another direction. Yahweh would have been a slaver, a tyrant that would have programmed all creatures to obey without a choice. Quick note, even though Yahweh made a room for his creatures to disobey him and go their own way in the universe, in that room the very knowledge of Yahweh is there. If the creature doesn't totally and wholeheartedly destroy the image of Yahweh by killing itself with its own intelligent will, the creature will come to a particular understanding from the knowledge and the potential to disobey. That is, no life outside of Yahweh. The creature, or mankind specifically, if it is paying attention, will come full circle from the darkness by contemplating with Yahweh back into the light. This is the fail-safe that Yahweh created for men, for the hope to not lose any and still maintaining the status quo, still respecting the choice from his creatures. Thus, the physical world was centripetally incorporated into the royal fiat. For Yahweh is eternal, and everything he calls forth in himself is eternal, and nothing can be annihilated ever. That which is destroyed will eternally be destroyed forever, not annihilated as to cease to exist. Take a look at this example. If you work for a boss that has his or her own company, and running adjacent to this gives you the freedom to create what you will, and you create a thing, that boss has all rights to your creation. For you have created it while working for him or her under their company. Your creation was developed with and by the very substances that your boss has in his or her disposal. With this being said, Satan created a new evil will without the permission from the will of Yahweh, nor without the love principle that exists only with Yahweh. Now the carnal mind would say, why didn't Yahweh just destroy that evil will that Satan created? It is amazing that you think the Creator is weak, enervated, and debilitated. What? Are we talking about the one who created your consciousness? You don't know your Father. This is how you view the deity, the creator Yahweh, the extreme, the holy. You think that Yahweh is like a weak earthly king who had an army of servants with a general over his army. Then the general decides he wants to be king and takes a third of this weak earthly king's army to attempt to take the throne. Now the earthly king is finite, which by its very nature, he loses control of his kingdom. This earthly king has no divine power to control the mutiny. This earthly king cannot take the mutiny and make it his own to bend to his own will. The earthly weak king can do nothing but one thing. He can only kill the rebellion to maintain that status quo of his kingdom. That is what you are requiring that the Divine Father do with Satan's rebellion. The earthly king feels he made a mistake choosing his general, which he did, and now must rectify his mistake. You view Yahweh as if a man who writes in a book and makes a mistake and erases it to start over. Now lo and behold, this infinite power of the Creator Almighty. Yahweh makes no mistakes, super period. He writes with a permanent pen with no eraser, forged by the purest spiritual gold, with ink made of spiritual liquid diamonds, writing on finely cut ruby paper with a book cover made of pure living tongues of fire, while resting on a throne of the finest light of magnificent, glorious living colors. The Father is absolute love, and love cannot have a desire to eliminate anything it once desired to come into being. Yahweh's infinite life, and anything that comes from him exists forever, and Yahweh cannot ever annihilate anything that he produces from its center as to destroy it to non-existence. Yahweh's first original thought was to bring life from life. Your very existence is proof. Do you think that death created you? Since the devil brought death through sin, Yahweh is so powerful that he incorporated this sin and made it his own. This is the elementary understanding of Isaiah 45:7. Yahweh forced this newly formed death to submit to his first original plan to bring forth life and light, showing his super supreme divine power to capture and control anything that his creatures create out of their center. Absolutely, like Jacob Boehm said, the subatomic matter was always there, was always present in the universe, even with Adam. Yet it was inert, had no physical form, and non-operational. In an analogy from Jacob Boehm, it is likened to iron being forged in the fire being dominantly presented and active, glowing over the iron, but the iron is unseen, passively inert. Just like the iron in the fire that covers it, the subatomic matter was covered by light and could not activate its modus operandi. However, from the disobedience where Adam and Eve left the holy source, the beautiful Yahweh, the magnificent of life and light, the fire or the light becomes extinguished or quenched by sin. 1 Thessalonians 5:19-22. Then do the black or dark matter becomes manifested. Just like the fire covers the iron as the above analogy from Jacob Boehm, Adam and the devil's body was covered by pure light. Yet the residual, the byproduct of spirit, which is subatomic matter, was hidden like darkness in light. When one walks in a completely dark room and turns on the light switch on the wall, the darkness was never destroyed by the light. The darkness has not gone anywhere. It is still there. The darkness was just overpowered by the splendor of the light. If you don't believe what I say, then stop viewing this movie book and go into a dark room. Then cut on the light. Then after this, cut the light back off. When the darkness does indeed return to you, as if it never left, which it didn't, then you would know this for yourself. The subatomic matter was the sawdust from the carpenter's hands, the leftover from the heavenly spiritual substance when Yahshua, the word that was spoken from the mouth of Yahweh, the carpenter, created the heavens and the earth. The work of the first human man, Adam, did not consist in this physical flesh world of concrete images and forms. Adam's work was to be done in the invisible, eternal earth of the conscious mind, which all of us, every human being, is still there in that invisible earth state right now as you read this book. Yet it is not known or seen from the deep sleep produced from the carnal mind, physical existence. Physical existence has malignant, copious, terrible cradles that are created by Satan to rock us to sleep. Adam thereby was expected to promulgate, copulate in a spiritual manner, and to labor to bring in beauty by the removing of the evil that had appeared in universal consciousness. We will converse more about this in upcoming articles. Adam was to transform the corrupt evils of Satan, thereby pushing the Satan apparatus at its earliest into the fiery reservoir that is as of now empty, waiting, and prepared. Matthew 25:41. On the other hand, even though this was not the original thought of Yahweh, Yahweh absorbed and incorporated the wicked plan of the devil and made it his own by establishing this rebellion in righteousness, using it to show forth his long-suffering grace, love, mercy, and his divine transforming power. Yahweh divinely used the very thing that caused chaos to become a victorious salvation to the universe, allowing his children who are made in his image and likeness to participate in his kingdom by their own expression of free will and love, earning their place with Yahweh in the kingdoms of the heavens. This fourth world, this shadow world, is the temporary domain of the devil. That is a moving apparatus. Job 1:7. For the devil has no power of creation. So he needed to use man, which has the power of creation, as a co-creator with Yahweh, being the image and likeness of the Creator. To use mankind's power of creation to bring in its own false fleshly world to rule and to be under his own eminence. The devil accomplished this by evil, intelligent seduction. This can be proven in the very Bible that everyone claims to understand, notwithstanding never living in the totality of the word of it. The last sentiment we need to address is what animals are in the spiritual sense before they fell with us and took on those hot planetary influences, for all creation fell with us, and the creative ground was cursed for our sakes. Genesis 3:17. All of the animals that were and are in Eden within the soul, in the higher states of consciousness, are the very emotions that Adam was told to name according to their characteristics and the wisdom of Yahweh. Genesis 2:19 through 20. These emotions or animals came from and out of the Father, who is the very spiritual dusty ground, the foundation that all things came out of. Genesis 1:25. Yahshua, who is the creator of all things, John 1:3, Colossians 1:16, demonstrated this truth here, Mark 5:11 through 13. For demons are evil, emotional-based creatures. 1 Enoch 15:8 through 12, who operate through and from the negative side of these emotional animal characteristics that are inside of the psychical mind or the garden of the soul of a person as wicked, evil, hostile, invading, tormenting entities. Mark 9:17 through 29. No one who sees uprightly and was once delivered themselves from these evil demonic spirits can disagree that these do not affect, or can say they do not work through the emotions. The emotions themselves being all the varieties of animal qualities. For exemplification, the ox symbolizes the emotional qualities of strength, power, humility. Numbers 23:22 through 24, Proverbs 14:4. The bull is a symbol that shows the emotional characteristics of aggression, sovereignty, and affluence. Exodus 21:35, Psalm 22:12. The white horse is an emotional symbol of victory, conquest, goodness, and invincibility. Revelation 6:2, Revelation 19:11. The lamb shows emotional qualities such as humility, peace, and innocence. The lamb represents Yahshua as the lamb, and also the followers of Yahshua as the flock. John 1:29, John 10:16, and super, etc., etc., etc. In this upper paradise, one does spiritually commune with higher emotional qualities. Micah 1:8, Job 30:29, Job 39:13. Not only in the mind that one experiences this reality, but even the physical body acts out what it experiences in these upper regions of higher thoughts. Yet in a lower sense, due to limitations that the physical body has, being under the rule of lower planetary laws of physics. You all know this process in relation to the dark mind. Mark 5:1 through 5. Do one believe only the evil and not the good, and not the good, and not the good, and not the good? Zephyr Y. Beckerman. Y. Beckerman. Y. Beckerman. Y. Beckerman. Y. Beckerman.
Yeah, baby.